Chapter 5, Southern Sumatra. Part 2, Primitive Peoples. The Kubu. Introduction. The Kubu live in the partly swampy stretch between the Musi, the Rawas, the Tembesi, and the Batang Hari. At this date, practically all the Kubu, willingly or unwillingly, are united and registered in villages stations. In 1907, there were 7,590 kubu distributed in 5 ships magazines. They are of a poor physical type, especially the women. While almost of them have been converted to Islam, this conversion has been in them only. They have not been willing to give up their former food habits and remain omnivorous, eating all kinds of flesh, even though it be partly decomposed. They then also the males are not circumcised in the Mohammedan fashion, but are incensed according to native custom. The girls are not incensed at all. The Kubu divide their history as follows: 1. The ancient history. From the time of the Orang Bari to the coming of Ratu Senuhun. 2. The modern history. For the time of the coming of Ratu Senuhun until the Kubu came into contact with the government. 3. Recently recent history. From the time in which the government took charge to the present exploitation of the land for oil. The Kubu relate that in very ancient times, the coast of Sumatra was regularly visited by pirates who brought their families with them. It once happened the pirate brother and sister committed incest, and that the sister in consequence became pregnant. The names of this pair are unknown because the Kubu have a taboo on the names of the ancestors. The pair was accused by the pirates, abandoned in the brush, and founded the first Kubu settlement of the Lalan River. The people descended from this pair were called the Orang Bari, the people of the good old times. The modern story of the Kubu begins to be authentic and takes place in the first half of 17th century when Ratu Senuhun came to the people of Palembang. The prince made the white people his subjects. The copper gems which he gave them are still handed down in families. The Kubu at the time of Malay supremacy never came into direct contact with the ruling race but traded by silent barter. That is, the Kubu left products from the brass of the ground and retired, returning to gather up what the Malays had given in payment. Naturally, the trade was never entirely fair to the more primitive population. This kind of silent barter lasted in the region until 40 years ago. The Malays were seen, but never the Kubu. The Kubu were ruled by the native chiefs Tipati. These were simply patriarchs who led the search for brass products. In spite of their lack of direct contact with the more civilized race, the Kubu picked up the language, the social organization, and the religion of the Palembang Malay. They delayed changing their mode of life, however, continued as wonders in the brass were at the compelled to settle down and take up agriculture by the Dutch. Even now, the Kubu is averse to regular work and to bathing. This final charge in the life on the left of the Kubu started when the Dutch government in Palembang took matters in hand and installed Malay tax collectors who acted under government supervision. Brass products were collected as taxes. In 1898, petroleum was discovered in Palembang, and since then, the Kubu has learned the use of money. The official of the words Kubu, Lubu, and Ulu is unknown. Among the village dwellers, Kubu means people who eat everything, including unclean foods, who do not live in houses and whose bodies are very unclean. To the Kubu's affection for water, thus people of lower character, on account of the stigma attached to the name of the name, the civilized Kubu do not like to be called by it, but prefer to be called Orang Darat or Orang Laut, land dweller or river dweller. In 1906, the Van Dongen he came into contact with isolated Kubus living in the swamps of the Ridan River, who fully live up to the title of Kubu as used by the more civilized Britain. Economic life. The primitive Kubu, built pile house, pondok, consisted of small platforms without walls and with leaf roofs. Four posts first are driven into the ground to act as a corner post. Four cross beams are then attached to this, and then 10 to 20 beams laid across as flooring. A loose leaf roof is placed as shelter about 3 feet above the floor. Rotten or lian is used as binder. No furniture, decoration, or amulets are made use of in the house. Men, women, children, and the invariable dog creep at night into this shelter. Usually, from 3 to 5 such houses are placed together in the grass of some high, dry place. The scattering of houses furnishes a Kubu village and is called syrup. The sole utensil kept by the Kubu in his house in the bamboo cooker, sometimes filled with water. When outside the house, at work in the jungle, the Kubu carries the carrying basket on his back. Men and women wear rolled up tapa clothes around their loins. They neither decorate the clothing nor themselves in any way. Children go entirely naked. The Kubu uses a long wooden throwing spear as a weapon. With this, he is able to kill all animals and catch his favorite food, and the turtle labby. In catching turtles, he uses the blunt end of the spear on which a long iron nail is attached. Musical instruments of every kind, as well as the art of dancing, are unknown to these people. The white Kubu have no rights and are unwilling to eat it. They will not eat the flesh of cats, tigers, or elephants. They eat wild pigs, all sorts of apes, and the turtle uneatable to the Malays. They are especially fond of bananas when they can get them. They further eat fruits, roots, and worms, lizards, and snakes. The Kubu digs for worms and tubular plants with a splinter of serpent bamboo or a para imported from the Malays. All foods are held above the fire, roasted a little, and then eaten. The people do not use salt, but the men have now learned to smoke tobacco. The Kubu never comes into contact with water with his life long, with the exception of a new raindrops, which he is unable to avoid. Water, water is cold and makes him sick. When he is dirty or covered with mud, he wipes he wipes off with the mud of a parang or a bamboo stick. Owing to this affection, he smells badly and constantly itches from skin disease. The Kubu is said to the Kubu is said to show great aptitude in avoiding all wet places when going through the brush. Since he is accustomed to live in the dark brush, he also has a dislike for sunlight. Women never cut their hair, but the men clip their hairs with a parang. Never sex comb their hair or keep it in order. A ridden kubu remains the most of months in one place, sometimes only a week. Then, as the woods around his dwelling offers too little food, or there is not enough fish in the river swamp, and he is unable to obtain his favorite turtle, he moves. Along this monotony and simplicity of the material culture, the Kubu have also a lack of social and religious development. What elaboration they do have is of late Malaysian origin social organization, where the settled Kubu are now divided into ships in imitation of their neighbors. The white Kubu have only the family organization. Nothing is known about their original laws of incest or relationship system. Sebesta writes that I said all but closest relatives can marry and that there are no avoidance customs. Young men and women run around together in the brass and make connections which led to marriage. The girls marry shortly after puberty. There is no ceremony after about the matter, but the pair simply goes to the elders and announce their intentions. The oldest man of the two families performs the marriage rite. The bridal couple sit next to one another on the ground, the bride to the left of the groom. The old man asks the bride if she will have the groom, and she replies that she will. Then the old man makes the announcement that if anyone should meet the pair together, he should not disturb them because they are married. After this, the gathering is broken up and everyone goes his way. There is no claymation or feasting, and anything like a bride price is unknown. The Kubu say that formerly the married pair took hold of each other by the little finger of the right hand as a sign that they were united. Among the more civilized Kubu, the Kumpang Kubu marriage is also performed by an elder member of the two families, and the elders have the first to give their consent, but never interfere when an elopement has taken place. As a sign of marriage, the couple eats the rice out of the same banana leaf dish. Probably in imitation of the Malays, a Kubu is allowed as many wives as he likes. Formerly some had three, but now none have more than two. If a Kubu has two wives, he makes his shelter somewhat larger and sleeps in the center with a wife on either side. Divorce is utterly without ceremony, and either the man can desert the woman or the woman the man. One young white Kubu met with by one young white Kubu met with by Van Dongen was deserted twice by the same woman. Neither of the two, however, was able to find another mate, as there are no more young Kubu left in the region. In case of divorce, the children go with the parent they prefer, but young children naturally remain with their mother. When a woman is pregnant, she is forbidden the sight of a dead body, an elephant, or a carabao. The birth must take place in the brass. The woman is aided at this time by another woman or by her husband. The newborn child is not washed but is cleansed with leaves and tapa cloths. As soon as the mother can walk, which is sometimes at once and sometimes on the day following the birth, she goes to seek food in the brush, either alone or accompanied by her husband. A Kubu does not like it when his wife gives birth to twins or triplets, as then he has to work harder for the support. He claims that the woman is like a god to produce so many offspring at once, and likely as not, he deserts her on the spot. The children remain with their parents, dwell and dig roots with them until they are 10 to 12 years of age. They then are taught capable of caring for themselves, wear their first loin clothes, and build special shelters next to those of their parents. For this time on they From this time on they seek their food and no longer eat with their elders. The bond between the parents and the children is now broken, and the child can either wander off by himself in the brush or remain with his family until he marries. The Kubu have no incision or circumcision in this regard. They are like most other feathered peoples, with the exception of the Australian. With the exception of the Australians, Every kubu has a name, but the name is known only to the people of the same group. People of another family are known by name and are referred to as people of this or that little river. The natives of one settlement come rarely into contact with those of another, as there are no feasts, poverty, ceremonies, or other communal gatherings. Naturally, there are no wars between the various Kubu communities or with outsiders. The civilized Kubu, however, have learned from the Malays the art of extracting wealth by threat of blood revenge. If a Kubu suddenly dies, or if anyone is so sick that it is certain he is about to die, the entire family runs away, leaving the dead or dying person in his dwelling, and builds a new shelter in a distant place. No more trouble is taken about the sick person. In like manner, if the Kubu find a spot where someone has died, or remains of a dead person, they run away as quickly as possible. The act of running away from a dead person is called melangan. Even among the most civilized Kubu, when a person is sick and it is believed that he will not recover, the family flee to the brush. If it is a child who is dying, only the parents remain with it. It is thought that the sight of a dying person brings misfortune. When a sick relative has been abandoned, however, someone in the family, usually a brother, returns to the house after 3 days. If the sick person is still alive, attempts are made to cure them. If the person is dead, the investigator gives immediate notice to the woman and children in the brush. Then the family comes back to the house and strews rice around it. After this, the body is wrapped in a customary cloth, laid on a ladder and brought to the grave, which is about 3 feet deep. Food is placed on the grave and the ceremony is ended. Other means of disposing of the body among the civilized Kubu include placing it in a hollow tree or leaving it in the hut and setting fire to the building. At the present time, after the death of her husband, the widow takes to the brass Melangan for 3 months. After 3 months in the brass, the widow or widower may return and marry. If the widow marries before this time, she has got to pay a fine to the relatives of the deceased for adultery. Religion. In spite of a rather considerable amount of information which has been gathered concerning Kubu religion, we actually know little about the origin beliefs of these people. Kubu shamanism is of interest as it shows that these people were capable of taking from the Malays a highly evolved practice and doctrine long before they cared to adopt much in the way of material culture. Still, there is nothing Kubu about shamanism. It is Hindu and Malay. Forbes, an English writer who visited the Kubu in 1885, writes, "They seem to have no idea of a state after death. They say, when we are dead, we are dead." Still Forbes knew that the Kubu avoided the dead, for he writes, in the revived state, they leave their dead unburied in the spot where they died, giving the spot either after a white birth. In like manner, Hagen writes that the Kubu do not believe in the soul which revives after death, for the Kubu abandon their dead to the wild animals. Yet elsewhere this writer states that the Kubu attribute all sickness to evil ghosts. At the present time, the civilized Kubu shaman Malim has acquired an element Hindu philosophy of life. According to Van Dongen, his belief is briefly as follows. A person is made up of sifat material, raw spirit thinking matter, and nyawa health producing matter. The material body is equated with sifat. The soul consists of nyawa of breath, which does not leave the body until the man dies, and of raw. Raw, the spirit of power of thought. is able to leave the body and wander around as in dreams. At that, the Nyawa and the Raw go back to heaven's circle and are the and are there received by God Raja Nyawa for good and evil. Raja Nyawa can be translated according to Van Dongen as all spirit, war spirit, or what power. The Kubu claim that the first shaman called Malim Kuyuk attained the title and power of Dukun of Ghost Exorciser by bringing his dog Kuyuk back to life. Even then, every district sent a man to study under the Malim Kuyuk so that each district acquired its own head Malim. The present word Malim is shortened form of the phrase Rukun Bermalim. The office of head Malim, as far as possible, goes from father to eldest son. At present, the head Malim is called Pengasu. Asu is dog. The head Malims act as if officials at exorcisms, religious ceremonies, and important seances. The other, the other people who assist, usually pupils, are ordinary Malims, in the same manner as the Malim Kuyuk was assisted by his wife when he brought the dog back to life again by stamping the evil spirits out of the animal. So now, every Malim Pengasu has his wife assist him at ceremonies. She has the title of Lubalang. When any animal is sick, the Malim may be called upon to exorcise the Malim Tibetian. There are various kinds of exorcism formula songs called Saleh, which are used, but seances do not differ very much from one another. The day before the cure, everything has to be prepared and the necessary food obtained. All food is brought in sevens, that is 7 articles at a time. The Malim, his assistants, and the Ulubalang eat nothing during the night of the exorcism, but merely smoke and chew betel while the cure is being enacted. When the other eat, they sit apart. The head Malim and usually his assistant as well shut all the orifices of their body of their bodies while they are performing their office. They may hear nothing, see nothing, nor yawn nor have stomach ache while concentrating. It is also for this reason that seance is the held at night. Towards sundown, the head Malim and his assistants purify themselves by bathing. Then they rub their bodies with lime juice. The cure can take place in the house of the of the sick person if there is a room when there is room enough, but often is enacted in the balai, the communal house. Cylindrical drums or tambourines are used as music. They are stuck with the open hand. These yarns comprise the rendering of 33 Saleh songs. The first two are not strictly necessary and are not given as smaller gatherings. A Saleh is made in the following manner. 1. The Malims first recite the essential content of the Saleh. 2. The tambourines are struck and the people stand up. This is followed by a round dance in which a present at first partake, by which is ended by the Malims alone. The dance becomes wilder and wilder and the Malims fall into a swoon. 4. The Malims are awakened by being wrapped on their hands. The head Malim then bless the sick and the public and gives a philosophical account of the Saleh which was given. While the head Malim is in trance, he is able to see the soul of the sick person in a tree or on the roof of a house entirely or partially under the influence of the evil ghost. The head spirit, the soul of the spirit Malim, or the first Malim of the race Malim Kuyuk, takes up his abode within the head Malim after the 25th Saleh and remains to the end of the cube. The ghost, however, does not speak through the lips of the Malim. Even the Kubu has gone as far as they could in the endeavor to imitate actual shamanism, but have failed in the crucial point. Van Dongen writes that the Kubu have no folklore. In this respect, they resemble the Vedas of Ceylon. These people also, in acquiring Sinhalese culture, have lost their original language and folklore. In conclusion, it must be obvious that the Kubu are a gendered race. There is no reason to doubt that their culture at one time was as complex at least as that of the saga of the Malay Peninsula in being pushed back into the marshy regions of Palembang and in being surrounded by Malaysians on whom they were in part parasitic and from whom they gradually acquired a foreign language and culture. They lost much they lost much of their original knowledge and arts. While at times it's dangerous to use biological analogies in dealing with the human culture, there is no doubt that a parasitic people are just as liable to degeneration as a parasitic plant or animal. The Mentawei Islanders are likewise parasitic on the Malays of Ireland, but these latter people are geographically most favorably situated. Hence, while they acquired what they needed for strangers, they rigorously excluded all that would endanger their own rational existence.